everybody. Welcome in to the Maize and Blue Reviews. Good afternoon, Michigan football. Heading into the weekend. June the 2nd. Great to be here. We got lots to talk about today, so we will jump right into it. You're a Michigan fan. You're in the right spot. We're going to be talking about Michigan today. A shock on the Maize and Blue Review. We have Jim Harbaugh, who talked to the media yesterday in Detroit. Will react to what the head coach had to say. I thought he had a lot of interesting things to say for a little tease for you. And that's coming up straight ahead. Also revealed over the last couple days, game times and networks that are going to be playing some Michigan games coming up this fall. One controversial location that a game will be played. You will want to hear my thoughts on that coming up over the next half hour or hour. And we'll start with a little recruiting, and this is the month, a big month. It always seems like it's a big time for Michigan. It's big. It seems like it's a big time for Michigan all the time. I do think it's a big time for Michigan basketball this weekend. They've got some visitors in this weekend. They've got 3 spots to fill, and a couple of the guys that they want, they're walking around Ann Arbor right now. So see if Juwan Howard's able to, I don't know if he's going to pull the rabbit out of his hat or whatever. We'll see if he's going to be able to get it done this weekend with a couple targets. But when it comes to recruiting, I think that everybody knows what I'm going to say, that you should be, if you want to know the latest and accurate information on recruiting, both basketball and football, portal, recruiting news, features. Join up the Maize and Blue Review today. It is hot, just like the weather right now, when you're talking about recruiting, constant changes and things going on. You can get up to speed on all of it by joining. Give us a shot, the Maize and Blue Review. Go to michigan.rivals.com. Looking forward to seeing you over there. Now, there has been an update yesterday with a Michigan target. He'll be coming in later this month to take a visit to Ann Arbor, but he's a corner out of the state of Ohio. And yesterday, he revealed his top 5, including Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Tennessee, and Oregon. Aaron Scott, the Buckeyes are all in on the home state kid. This would be great, obviously, to be able to pull them away from the scarlet and gray. It'd be another one of those head-to-head recruiting battles that if Michigan could win, that they could feel really good about. And who knows? Scott growing up, and, that's not so long ago, when you're talking about being a junior in high school, growing up, a big Oregon fan, duck stuff, duck football stuff, all in his room. So we'll see, Oregon, they got the flashy uniforms out in the great Northwest. We'll see. But Michigan has them in, and you have them in, and you're in the top 5, you're feeling like, and you got Steve Clinkscale. I think if you're Michigan, you feel like, and if you're a Michigan fan, you're feeling like you have a shot when it comes down to Aaron Scott. And, Michigan would love to, my middle name is Scott. They'd love Justin Scott, Aaron Scott, great Scott. It would be nice for the month of June to be able to land some Scotts. So, as always, what's ever on your mind, if you have an opinion, you have a question, you have a point, you can use the instant feedback. Here's Jason, who's jumping in right off the bat, and he says he hopes Juwan checks the academic profile before investing more time into kids whom do not qualify. Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, you talk, that's referring to, we could be referring to a lot of guys, but Caleb Love, who Michigan had, I think that, I'll speak for Juwan here. I think they felt like they had a chance that he was going to be able to get cleared, and it was a chance worth taking, with the talent, and then it didn't happen, and then you're left holding the bag, which is, never fun that way, and you get criticized, and that's the way it goes. But if Caleb Love was some end of the bench dude, they probably would have moved on. But he was a big time talent, so and he wanted to come in. It just didn't end up working out. Jason is I don't say if he's echoing it. Did I say big month for Michigan in June? I think I did say that. He's saying the same thing. JM indicating OV's official visit 25 he's counted. Jason is also confident that we can land at least 20 of those 25. Now, wait a second, Jason. Michigan already has like seven. They have 17. And so 17, 27, 30. I mean, like, how many guys you think they're going to be bringing? I know they're going over 25, but can they go 37? That's I don't know. You're confident. I'll take your word for it. There's you like the other Scott, Aaron Scott, Justin Scott. I like them both. If I had a pick of my Scotts, I'd take Justin Scott. Ryan Wingo, they're going to be really tough to land. Well, they're 5-star guys. 5-star guys are difficult to land because of their status in recruiting. Teams are going to be offering them lucrative packages before they ever step on campus. And Michigan's not at this time competing monetarily with, the other schools that have elected to go that route. So that's going to be tough. Wingo, as a wide receiver, it's going to be tough to land him considering Michigan's a plow horse, run the ball every time school. Why would a 5-star consider Michigan? So maybe because they're going to be opening up. Hopefully the Wingo recruitment goes into the football season and Wingo can take a gander at what the Wolverines look like in 23. And maybe a little spoiler to what we're going to be talking about coming up, maybe they can break away from the identity of them being a run 3 yards in a cloud of dust type team. We'll see. Going to be tough anyways. It's tough. You talking about 5 stars? It's tough. Here's somebody that's tough. AJ. AJ's weighing in on recruiting. He feels good about Aaron Scott. Scott does have concerns about Ohio State's defensive scheme, which I'd made sure to send him the problems with their scheme. You got his number? Oh, you're sending stuff at him at social media. Hey, AJ, hey, whatever it takes, right? Send him over there. You just send him the facts, right? One more for JM is talking about 5 stars. He says it would be nice to add some. If we want to compete with the big boys, we need to match their talent. Down the line, I think everyone is going to agree with you. You know what the most important thing, though, Jason, is to land those 5 stars? It's what Michigan's doing right now. Winning. Michigan winning last year, winning the year before. That's the biggest thing in my mind when it comes down to being able to attract the very top talent. Now, you could say, it's flat out money. And for some of the guys, that's right. They're free agents. They've gained a certain status, 5 stars. And there are going to be universities that are like, hey, look what we got for you before you don't even have to come to campus. We just have it for you. And there are going to be some guys that go that route. But winning on the field is going to be the biggest one, and Michigan's doing that right now. And we're talking about down the line because this upcoming year, Michigan has, people love to count the 5 stars. I feel like Michigan's got 5 stars coming out of their ears for this year in that Blake Corum in any other season prior to NLI, he would have been gone. Would I rather have the number 1 running back, the 5-star running back of the country from last year, or would I rather have Blake Corum? I'd rather have Blake Corum. Would I rather have the 5-star two of the biggest five-star interior offensive linemen from last year? Or would I rather have Trevor Keegan and Zach Zinner? I'd rather have Zinner and Keegan than the five stars from last year. There's 3 5-stars. You want to add Chris Jenkins on there, a 5-star? Let's do it. You want to get in Sainra still? Okay. I'm ready to go that direction too. You want a 5-star corner or do you want Sainra still? I'll take Mike Sanders still. There's 5-5-stars, the equivalent. And I know, you got you could say, I don't think it's apples and oranges. I like recruiting is all, just a guide anyways. And these guys that I just mentioned, and probably a few more, they're worth better than any 5-stars in recruiting. Sure. In 24 and 25, that would be nice. But for this upcoming season, the 5-stars that Michigan has, and none of those guys, I don't think were 5-stars. No, I don't think so. But they are now. And, that is the adjustment. I think that, I don't know if you need to make that. It's an adjustment that I make. I look at them. Like I look at, am I ready to trade Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham for some of the 5-star defensive tackles from last year? Probably not. Who was the number one player in the country? Was it Nolan? Was that his name? I forget. He was a defensive tackle because Michigan was in on him, but he went to Texas A&M. He played a little bit. I wouldn't trade the number one player in the country last year for Mason Graham or Kenneth Grant. And you shouldn't either. Don't get all like, oh, but he was a 5-star. Yeah, after you see him play, you're like, it's always the promise, of those next guys. You know what I'm saying? Let's see where we're at. I said that was going to be the last one I took from Jason. But we have more coming in. Let's see where we're at. JM says, why does my post get deleted when I say Twitter? I don't know. You're not getting deleted by me. I don't know what you're talking about. Mark talking about the USC quarterback. He says Caleb Williams seems to be a 6-star. So Michigan, not the only ones retaining exceptional players. No, that's true, but I'll take Michigan's overall team. And I don't know, Mark, would we trade? This is a good question. Interesting. Would I trade J.J. McCarthy for Caleb Williams? The Heisman Trophy winner for J.J. McCarthy. Maybe. I mean, he might be the only guy, honestly, that I would do it for. Those hypotheticals, you say, well, you got to get the offense and everything else. And what about JJ? And you never want to say anything bad about it because it's a hypothetical. And you think, but, for me, Caleb Williams would be the only guy. Not that I would even consider. I would consider some others, but I think Williams, I think I would pull the trigger there. But I don't know. Anybody else? I can't think of. OJ pointing out that Kenneth Grant was a 3-star. Yeah, he was. And, Grant got on the field as a true freshman, was just extraordinary. And, his some of his testing that, we had seen from Bruce Feldman, from, Michigan, when, guys are doing crazy endurance or strength things, they give a call to Feldman for that freak list, and, Grant for his size and what he's doing. But he played well. He was overshadowed a little bit by Graham because here's a true freshman that just hit the field, started on the Michigan defensive line for a championship team. That's almost unheard of anywhere. Talking about in the middle of a defense. But he did it, which was extraordinary. But Grant right behind him. And then I have put a lot into what I saw from guys in the spring. You got to keep things in context, and boy, there's so many guys, and in just the spring game that you watch, you're like, wow, that looks good, that looks good, that looks good. But Grant looked good. I say it a lot. Well, he had a great spring. Grant looked. Did he look? He looked great. He looked great in the spring game. And the first thing you would say about a guy, whatever he is, 6'5", 370, whatever, he's not that big. You would say, why is he just a two down lineman? Like Godzilla, that was playing for Georgia. And it was now with the Eagles. They'd say he's only a two down player. They made a point that Grant was going to play the entire spring game. That he wants to be a three down defensive tackle. So I think if you're a Michigan fan, you're excited about Kenneth Grant, and I think that you should be excited about Kenneth Grant. Andres, I know. Andres checking in. Andres is excited about Kenneth Grant. OJ is talking about Hutchinson being a 4-star, Gary a 5-star. Give me Hutchinson every time. Well, yeah, in the end, you're right. And again, we could look back to not this past NFL draft, but the draft that Aiden Hutchinson was in. We could go through and we could pick some guys that were taken in the second, even third and fourth round that you would take over first round picks. I mean, that's kind of how it works. You have your gauge, and you have your value. It's a fluid situation, and it changes all the time. P. Maximus, before we show you who's visiting this weekend, he's agreeing with keeping our guys to return. Kevin Grady, Derek Green, Kelly Baraka, they were all 5 stars. None of them worked out. Experience over stars. I don't know what happened with Kevin Grady. Derek Green liked the college situation a little bit too much. Baraka, I think, liked buds too much. That's what it was. He liked partying. And hey, look, Le'Veon Bell was saying he was smoking before games when he was with the Steelers. But Baraka, if he was able to hide it a little bit better, maybe it'd have been all right. But in college, it's a little stricter than the NFL. But no, I hear you on all of that. Not experience over stars every time, but situation by situation, you can look at it, and there would be a lot of people would be like, no, I want this 5-star and anything else, that kind of thing. Let's take 2 more, and then we're moving on and getting to this weekend. Mark is talking about the Penn State offensive tackle. He was a big retain, not a trade. And I'd have to say a proven Heisman winner over high ceiling Stroud and Young, not discussing a trade, just Michigan, not the only ones benefiting with NIL and portal. Yeah, Penn State, Penn State's got the best tackle in college football, best left tackle. He would have been the first tackle off the board in the NFL draft, and he decided to come back. That's a surprise, Now, he wasn't just going to be a bona fide first rounder. He was going to be the top tackle taken in the draft. So he was a top 10 pick, and he came back. That's huge for the Nittany Lions. There is no doubt about it. No, but you're right, Mark. I mean, yeah, we talk mostly about Michigan. So, in Michigan, they did hit a grand slam in retaining players and using the NIL for this upcoming year. But yeah, there were some other schools that benefited as well. And one more from Antoine. Antoine, who I know, I was going to mention him with some of the visitors this weekend because he has a strong opinion on one of them. Antoine is saying he's been talking to Tatum about being a dynamic duo with Jordan Marshall long before Jordan was even on the team. He now has that idea in his head. Good job, Antoine, out there doing some recruiting for the Maize and Blue. Speaking of the Maize and Blue Review has the official visit tracker. You might be like, hey, what's Michigan doing this weekend? Well, we got you. And if you were a subscriber a couple days ago, you would know that, there's Josh Henschke telling you about what was happening last week. Weekend of June the 2nd. Here we are today, June the 2nd. There's Antoine's guy, Brian Robinson. I saw a video of Robinson today in the Maize and Blue. And, he's listed as an outside linebacker and edge, and he looks like a safety. 6'4", 235. Probably grow into that a little bit. He looked pretty good jumping around in that Maize and Blue. I just got to say, he looked pretty good in the Maize and Blue, the video that I saw there. I know that the coach, the film that he watched, he wasn't that impressed with Brian Robinson. But Robinson in Ann Arbor right now. And couple months ago, it looked like Michigan was the leader and that they were going to get him. And then Robinson took a step back. Robinson doesn't need to punch Ann Arbor into his phone when he's driving up from Youngstown. He knows how to get here. He's been here, I think, more than any recruit. Very familiar with what's going on. I got to say that the dynamic personality of Steve Clinkscale, I feel like, is going to be the winning element in this recruitment. And I think Brian Robinson, I'm ready to put my own. I don't put future cast in, but I put a forecast in, and I want to put a forecast in on Robinson. I'm close to it, Andres. I am very close to it. Now, the wide receivers are pretty interesting. Is this kid a wide receiver? Marquise Gallegos. No, he's a safety out of California. He's in right now. A 6'1", 175-pound safety from Cali, rated as a 3-star. Michigan, do they have any safeties yet for 24? They've got the kid out of Harper Woods, Jacob Oden. So that would be number 2. You can never have, know this, whoever you love in recruiting, whoever's your mastermind when it comes down to it, know this. You can never have enough good defensive backs. So you would love to see Gallegos in this class. I am not putting any forecasts out for today, but if I was, as much as I like Brian Robinson, I like Jacob Smith to be a Wolverine more than any of them. Jacob Smith, a 6'4", 226-pound defensive end who is a 4-star out of Connecticut. I feel real. Let's go ahead and do it. Forecast. Jacob Smith, Andres, will be a Wolverine. Let's go. Put me down. Jacob Smith, I feel it. Now, I felt it all along. But I think Michigan will be able to get Jacob Smith. Why do I think that Smith is coming in? Well, he's going to have somebody with him that is going to be urging him to go ahead and accept the challenge. And that is his twin brother, Jared, who is a commitment for the Wolverines. These guys are going to the same school. Let's be honest. Everybody out there, who's with me? Who's giving the forecast in for Jacob Smith? Raise your hand. Jacob Smith is going to be a Michigan Wolverine. Take it. Mark it down. And I don't just go tread lightly when it comes into forecasting. I take it serious. Smith is in. Let's put it down. Another set of twins. The Green twins. Still, German Green is it was Jymon and German. German's still on the team. Another set of twins coming in. Jacob and Jared. Let's go. Let's do it. I feel it. What about you? Richard likes the size. 6'4", 226 for a defensive end. Prototypical. When you look at these guys, Jacob Smith has it's a thumbnail picture from the chest up. He looks like he could be in the NFL. Like if I was looking at the, I don't know, Kansas City Chiefs roster, and this picture came up and it said, "Hey, here's a defensive end, a third-year defensive end that they're really excited about." And they put this picture up, I'd say, "Guy looks pretty good. He's passing the look test. Yeah, he's got the size. I'm in. Andres is in. P. Maximus. They have." So it sounds like some others are jumping in on the bandwagon. They're watching this show, feeling like, they're going in riding into my coattails. It's all right. Let's go. I feel like Jacob Smith, and I'm this close to putting Robinson in there too. And you know what? Robinson, look at his size, 6'4", 235. He's an edge. Jacob Smith, 6'4", 226. He's an edge. Gerard Smith, he's going to be an edge. It's an edgy weekend for the Maize and Blue. I feel like they're going to get all they already got. Gerard, his brother's coming. Brian Robinson. Well, again, that close. Maybe by the end of this show, I'll be ready to make the leap. And I've never made 2 forecasts. Maybe I'll make 3 because I feel good about this next player as well who's in. Jordan Shipp, the wide receiver out of Providence Day in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you are familiar with Michigan recruiting whatsoever, then you absolutely know the story of Jordan Shipp. You know that his quarterback is Michigan commitment Jaden Davis. You know that his teammate is Channing Goodwin, who is also a commitment for the Wolverines. You have also followed this recruitment. You have seen pictures of Davis with both Shipp on one side and Goodwin on the other, talking about future teammates. Let's go. Now, Shipp is a 4-star, 6'2", 180. There's a lot of wide receivers out there. I'm just not sure which one. I mean, I don't know how many more. Michigan, you could take 3. You could always put, guys could be defensive backs, whatever. But man, knowing that his quarterback and that his also in the same position group, man, this one also seems like maybe I could make 3 forecasts. Am I just getting caught up in the weekend? Is this a little bit too much? Brian Robinson, blue. I don't know enough about Gallegos. Jacob Smith, blue. Gerard Smith, Mason blue. Jordan Shipp, blue. There's the trio. How about a big weekend? That will be nice. Michigan is looking at June and July, and Jason said it a little bit earlier, and I agree with him. They're big weekends in recruiting. It's a big months, I should say, in recruiting. This weekend, to get everyone turning on the faucets, coming up with a trio of commitments, that's how you get things going in June. That's how you get everybody and say, let's go. Is there momentum in recruiting? Absolutely. Would you like them to space it out so they can each have their individual days? Yeah. Let's have Jacob announce on Monday. Let's have Robinson announce on Wednesday. And then let's have Shipp announce on Friday. Let's do it. I think it can happen. I feel it coming up. Well, if I asked all of you out there, people that have watched this show, people that have watched each and every day up to like 2 weeks ago, we were going every day, 5 days a week. There have been a couple common themes. One of them is talking about name, image, and likeness. I've been doing that since this show started back in November of 21. We talk about it. We talk about the transfer portal. We also talk about Michigan's philosophy on offense. And if they're going to throw the football more. Well, lo and behold, yesterday, James Joseph Harbaugh was in Detroit at Wayne State, and the assembled media in there, I don't know who to credit with. I'd credit him if I knew who asked the question. He was like, Coach, paraphrasing, because I don't know exactly what the question was, are you guys going to throw the ball more? And Jim Harbaugh pretty much said, yes. Yes, we are. We are going to throw the football a lot more. Sherrone Moore, Michigan's sole offensive coordinator, when Jim Harbaugh was asked if Michigan is going to throw the football around the yard, how he's going to divvy up the snaps, Harbaugh said he sees the offense as 50-50 in terms of running and throwing the ball in regards to run-pass split for this upcoming season. And you might say, that's what every coach says. They do. I have to give you that. And it does sound a lot like coach speak. But what I am going to do right now is I'm going to have to give Michigan the benefit of the doubt. 2 years ago around this time, I heard Josh Gaddis, and I accused Josh Gaddis of laying out total coach speak. So people on here have accused Michigan of just rolling out some coach speak. Hey, Gaddis was like, we want to, when they said, how could you improve on offense? It was something like that. Gaddis was like, we're going to really concentrate on running the football. And I was like, I rolled my eyes. I was like, really? I've been around covering Michigan for, 30 years. That's what every coach says. They're going to want to really run the football. And then the other times, they all talk about they want to be 50-50 in terms of run pass. But Sherrone, can it be true? Let's look at the numbers. Last year, Michigan ran 970 plays. Just 370 of those were for a pass, so that's 600 rushing. If Michigan was to go 50-50, they would have to, what's that a difference of, what are we talking about, 230? 115 more passes. So if you spread that out over 12 or 13 or 14 games, they're going to throw it maybe, 8, 9, 10 times more a game to get you up to that 115 to make this 50-50. Now, you could say that Harbaugh was talking about, well, he wants to get the rushing average and passing average 50-50, 238 to 219. Let's say 239 to 220. Pretty close. You could do that. And that's what I thought. But if you dissect the quote from Harbaugh from yesterday, he says, and I quote, I see this offense being a 50-50 run pass. We'll see how the games go. We'll see how the season goes. I bet when it's all said and done at the end of the season, it'll be pretty darn close to 50-50. The amount of times we throw it and the amount of times we run it. So this last sentence is the money line. He didn't say about, we would like to get our rushing yards per game and passing yards per game 50-50. He said the amount of times. The amount. Yes, I'm repeating. Dramatic effect. The amount of times we throw it and run it. He wants to be 50-50. Now, when he says, I bet, I feel like I would take that bet. I don't think they're going to be 50-50. 2 years ago, Michigan ran the ball a lot. And then heading into last year, I thought Michigan's going to throw more. Just look at the quarterbacks, look at the running backs, both Corum and Edwards could catch the ball out of the backfield. I looked at the wide receiver talent, the tight ends, they had Allen Schoonmaker. I thought Michigan, they got to throw the ball more. They ran it more last year than they did the year before. But now here's Harbaugh. He doesn't guarantee it because he says we'll see. But he also says he bets when it's all said and done, they'll be pretty darn close. If they're pretty darn close, that means that they're going to be throwing the ball. Say a lot more? They're going to be throwing the ball more. Sometimes a lot more. Now, that should be music to some Michigan fans' ears. Some fans don't care. Like, they can run it all they want. Myself, I like scoring touchdowns. I don't really care if it's a 50-yard bomb, 3 plays, 3 plays, 67 yards with a 50-yard bomb. That's nice. But I don't mind a 13-play, 75-yard, 9-minute and 36-second drive. Chews the clock, keeps your defense fresh, takes the will as you tenderize the opponent's defensive line. You show them who's boss by being able to do that. There's great value in that, especially when you have a lead in the second half to be able to do that. But I do have to admit, how is Michigan going to take a next step? Michigan has taken tremendous steps over the last 2 years, all the way up almost to the penthouse. But how are they going to take those last steps? Like, how are they going to get 5-star quarterbacks? They got one. How are they going to get 5-star quarterback or 5-star wide receivers to be like, oh, I'm going to go to Michigan? You're going to throw the ball a little bit more. And Michigan they have a dangerous quarterback who can throw the ball. They've got the receivers to be able to do it. They have the material to be able to throw the ball. Now, do you believe it? That's different than what Harbaugh is saying. You can only answer that yourself. But can you be excited about Michigan potentially throwing the ball more? Rashad is taking, I'm going to say, a wait-and-see approach. He says, I'll believe it when I see it. Andres is indicating that there are going to be guys banging on the doors in the portal to get in. Do we have RW indicates that every year they say we're going to be explosive. We will open up the offense, yada, yada, yada. And then they start the season against Creed Profs running 50 times a game. Antoine is not just taking the coach's word for it. He's been listening to and reading what some of the players have to say, indicating that they've already come out and said that they're going to throw it a little bit more. He said he heard that from Colston Loveland himself. Or the horse's mouth, right, Antoine? Nothing against Loveland. Just a figure of speech. So there you go. Richard, not necessarily buying it either. A great goal, but unlikely. JM, I don't know what he's talking about. Maybe he's talking about Twitter. Ask the coach. The coach followed me on Twitter last week at Dennis Fithian and asked the coach. I followed him right back within seconds. Boom. You can do the same. I like people that are on here. I like to hear what you have to say, obviously. And so Twitter is the same thing. You want to follow 2 Michigan men? Here you go. It's up on the screen right now. Thumbs up. Is Mark on Twitter is the question that we have. Well, you want to hear more what Jim Harbaugh had to say? Okay. We'll get to a little bit more of what Harbaugh had to say coming up. Let's see here. I'm just going to go through really quick and see if I've missed any of the feedback. Richard says Skip and Shannon Sharp are done as a team. Yes, Shannon Sharp has indicated that he doesn't want to work with that prick anymore, pretty much, I think is what's happening there. That ran its course for those guys. When you just sit there yelling at somebody back and forth, doesn't matter sometimes how much money you make. When you already have a little bit of money, it's like, this isn't worth it. To me, via the TV, I have probably watched 5 minutes of Skip. Is it Undisputed that they're on? As much as I like sports, to listen to those two carry on yelling at each other, I never have really enjoyed that. However, it's sometimes on my radio, I get the feed, and then I listen, and I think, what is the attraction of these guys? But then I listen, and Bayless, he does his homework. He'll talk about a game. You could tell he knows how many 3-pointers they shot in the game. He knows how many 3-pointers, the field goal percentage, and the 3-pointers for the series. He knows about the last 5 years. He'll know the trends, and so you can tell he puts in his work. I appreciate that. And you know what? When you have a little personality and you're a former player, sometimes former players, it's a little bit too much of, well, I was a former player. And I value a former player, but Sharp, it worked for me in him being a former player and giving his opinion. Sometimes it's a little bit too much, but nobody's perfect out there when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to deal with stuff like that, and you go through it. Let's do it. Mark is talking about drops versus UConn last year. Brought the throwing to a standstill. I got to tell you this, Mark. I'm going to go back and give you a story about, Michigan's rise to the top. Because after 2020, things went a real low with Michigan, with Harbaugh. They hadn't beat Ohio State. Everybody knows all that. So you get into 2021 and they play Western, and, so they win that game. And then it's Washington. And Washington isn't the biggest. It was going to be a great opponent and everything, but they had lost to Montana. And you're thinking, Michigan should win this game. But Michigan was dominating the Huskies in that night game back in 21. And they were just running the ball every time. And you're thinking, okay, this is great. But it was halftime and it was 10-0. And Michigan was running the ball 90% of the time. And everybody, myself included at the half, said, all right, Michigan needs to come out and throw the ball. They could lose this game. They're dominating the freaking game. Come out and do something with the passing game. They didn't. They kept running the ball, but they took the ball right down and scored, and they got a touchdown, scored 17-0. And then you're thinking, well, all right, you want to play ground and pound with the Huskies? 56 carries, 343 yards. They're like, hey, it was impressive. But it was still like, are they going to be able to throw the football? Well, then they played Northern Illinois. And they scored touchdowns in the first 9 drives. 8 of them were rushing touchdowns. They did hook up on a couple long passes, but it was Northern Illinois. And then it came to, I don't know if it came to a head, but it was a little bit of point of frustration. This felt like Michigan football over the years. Michigan's taken out Rutgers, and they played pretty well in the first half. They put up 20 points. Remember McNamara near the half, got his bell rung. But if you remember the Rutgers game, and Michigan's playing Rutgers at home this year, Michigan didn't score at all in the second half. And they scored 20 in the first half. The final score in that game, it was 20-3 at the half. It ended up being 20-13. Michigan had 4 offensive series in the second half against Rutgers that went for 3 and out. Their first series against the Scarlet Knights, Michigan crossed the 50-yard line, and they had a 3rd and 13. And you know what the call was on 3rd and 13? A handoff. You're watching that, and you probably were ready to throw something at the TV. I'm sure the idea was to gain, 10 yards and then go for it. But they gained like 1 or 2 yards, and they had to punt. And then there were 3 more. 4 3-and-outs. That's like, this just isn't going to work. Not going to work. Until it did. The next game against Wisconsin, Michigan ran a flea flicker, which has been one of those big plays that they've broken out over the last 2 years a few times, but they kind of broke the seal. And like, it came out, it was Kojo on the flea flicker. And the defense knocked their quarterback out. But remember, that was going to be like Wisconsin, really good defense. They ran the flea flicker and kind of opened some things up. But that running game can be pretty frustrating when, at times when you're thinking, this is not how you win in modern football, just running the ball every time. And yet that's exactly what Harbaugh did. And that's how he was able to get the victory against Ohio State. And that's how, in large part, not completely, it's Michigan's identity. So, how much of that identity are they really going to, take away when it comes down to it? Speaking of taking things away, TV has taken something away from you, and it is the ability to watch Michigan. If you want to watch them week 1 coming up, because if you look and you can see it, September the 2nd against East Carolina, some of the game times, we already knew that Michigan was going to play Ohio State and Penn State on Fox at noon. So we knew that. But now we see 4 other game times. The Rutgers, I just talked about them. That game's going to be at noon. Night game against Bowling Green. We knew one of those games were going to be a night game, and it's going to be against the Falcons. 3:30 against UNLV, CBS, Big Ten Network. That's included. That you already have to pay for. But then here comes East Carolina at noon. The opener for the Wolverines, and it's on Peacock. And you're like, what's Peacock? Well, it's NBC, but it's streaming and you have to pay for it. I just looked yesterday. You can get Peacock for $4.99 a month, $20 for a year. They're running a special right now. And I think you complain about this for a week, maybe a month, and then, the game week, you bitch about it. Everybody's trying to get money from me. There's screw these, and you cry about it. And I'll cry about it. And then, you pay for it because you're a big Michigan fan and you want to watch the game. And that's how they get you. It's just like, here's the thing. Besides talking about the team and the coaches, the coaches get paid, extraordinary amount. The players are getting paid now. Football tickets, the cost is through the roof, park, all of it. But then you see, and we talk about it like, man, the Big Ten, like they're raking in $72 million, whatever it is, per team for the Big Ten Network. CBS is paying, $1 billion. Like the money that you see, 100 million, 200 million, billion for these TV packages. And you're like, wow, that's a hell of a lot of money. Now I already pay, probably like you, a lot of money for, for TV. So you're like, hey, you like watching the games on TV. And now they want more. And, this is it. I'm going to complain about it a little bit. Peacock, if it was, sometimes they give you that like 7-day free trial. And so if it's just going to be one game, be like, well, sign up for 7 days. Make sure you opt out when you can, or then they screw you sometimes that way. That's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to you. But you could probably watch that for free. You can tell people like, I'll just go to the bar. That sounds good in theory, except 1 year, a long time ago, I cut the cord. And I thought, I'm going to make, when I go to games, it's going to be if I go watch a game, I'm going to make it a real special event. I'll go to my friend's house or I'll go to the bar. Well, what happened is I'd go to my friend's house and we're ordering pizza, ordering subs, probably have some drinks. I'm spending $5, $10, $15, $20 just going to my friend's house. Very infrequently would I just, like I did last night, go to my friend's house and just have a glass of water. That's all I had. Watching the NBA Finals, sitting outside. It was pretty nice. Game sucked. But back in the day, I was spending money. And then if I'm going to the bar, how much money am I spending at the bar? More than I was going to spend for $5 on Peacock. So they get you. They get me. I do notice that Michigan State is their game against Washington, which is a game that I want to watch. That's going to be on Peacock as well. So, suddenly I have two games, and there probably maybe another game or two that might not be all that bad too. And then Yellowstone, which is a series that's not too shabby. Now you can get that free past seasons on there, but maybe, the Yellowstone, I think there's one more season on there. Maybe you can get it before everybody else, on Peacock. I think that's what they have. Maybe they have some other stuff. I know if you like soccer, I don't, but there's a lot of people that love, soccer. And apparently Peacock plays a lot of soccer games. So here I am. I've cried about it. I complained about it. I'll probably do it again come fall, but I will be, I'm going to tell you what I don't like. I don't like paying the $5. That'd be one thing. Number two is, can I tape the game? Can I DVR the game? Because right now, I DVR it on my TV, I DVR it on the computer, and then I'm able to go back and I'm able to rewatch the game. And then I just run them back. And there's Will Johnson, just got an interception in the Big Ten championship game. The next Charles Woodson with the interception. Am I going to, with Peacock, I want to watch the opener. We're sitting around talking about, here's the interception by Johnson in the Big Ten championship game. Look at this guy. Stepped right in front of it. Very smooth when it comes down. We're talking about Will Johnson. Look at him. What a play. Yes, that's right. 2 interceptions. Wearing the number 2. Give him those buffs. Let's go. Great player. I was talking about not being able to rewatch the game. That would be big to me. That'd be a big selling point. Now, maybe I can on Peacock, but am I going to be able to record it on my computer? So those are my complaints. I'll read some of yours. Maybe you guys are all like, hey, who cares? I'll spend as much money as I can on anything. Doesn't matter. When it comes to Michigan, I understand that line of thinking. Let's see. Gavin. It's going to be weird seeing Michigan football on CBS with Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson. No question. CBS is, I don't mind it, but yeah, you're used to when you hear the theme, you're used to seeing the SEC out there, and you're used to Gary Danielson being a big homer for the SEC. Danielson has admitted it. He's like, yeah, they're our television partner. I'm going to be biased. It was nice to hear from him say that. Like, yeah, he's biased about, the SEC deserves to get 2 teams. So it'll be weird hearing Gary Danielson say like, well, how about 2 Big Ten teams now? It's like, hey. It's like the old Josie Wales movie with Clint Eastwood. The guy that was with him. At one point, he's whistling Dixie. He gets over to the other side, and he's singing a different tune. That's what Gary Danielson's doing now. Good point, Gavin. I'm with you. Andres, I get it. Richard, beginning of pay to watch. The other part I don't like about Richard, now that you guys are bringing, this is if you watch football, you like to be able to at times flip channels. And if you're streaming, what I found like on Thursday Night Football, and it's on Amazon Prime, If I go to my big TV upstairs, it's pretty nice. I can hit a button and it takes like 2 seconds to kind of log out of Amazon Prime, and then I'm on regular, but then it takes like 2 seconds to log back on. Not too tough, but not as easy as just a one button. I'm like normal. I'm like boom, boom, one button. It takes like 4 extra seconds to be able to get back there. Not a big amount of time, but if you like watching TV and flipping around, it kind of feels like it is. And you got to be pretty good with the buttons. Not everybody can do it in 4 seconds. But then I have my TV downstairs, which I could probably figure it out with another remote and everything, but I have to do it, say, manually. I have my regular cable controller and I can flip around, but if I want to go to Amazon Prime or Netflix or Hulu or anything else, I actually have to walk up to the TV and I have to click a button or two, and then it takes like a minute to load up on that TV downstairs. And so I can't flip around on that downstairs TV. It's a very nice TV, but I can't flip around. I don't care for that. So it's a Michigan game. I don't do too much flipping around. I just pretty much stay there. So it's going to be okay. But, if I'm watching Michigan State and Washington, I don't want to watch every flipping commercial. I want to be able to flip around. And if I'm downstairs, I'm not going to be able to do it. That's another issue. DVRing it and being able to flip the channel. You can't do it. Andres is finding a way around it, finding a stream on YouTube. When you put LOL, I'm thinking that's like a pirate situation. Hey, whatever. My opinion on pirate TV is I thought, hey, what the hell? Screw, these guys are all making millions of dollars. That was my opinion about 2 years ago. And then my buddy said, I get everything. I pay $20 a month. I get every movie channel. I get every sport. I get everything. And I was like, how do you do that? He's like, I get movies as they're coming out in the theater. He's like, you just got to get this box. It was a pirate box. And I was like, sign me up. I'm in. I got it. And I got home and it worked. Put it on. And for one day, I had everything. I had 100 movies. I had every sports channel. It was too good to be true. And then I told my wife, and she's like, this is a pirate situation. They're going to find out, and they are going to they're going to find you, and you're going to have this record, and then they're going to come after me. And she was like, get rid of it. She's like, I don't care. We'll pay for the cable. So what could I do? Sometimes your wife, she put her foot down, and she didn't want to do the pirate situation. My other friend at the same time got that box. And this week I was talking with him and I was complaining about some TV stuff. And he's like, I still got the box. It's great. I'm like, no issues. Nobody's ever come after. It's been 2 years now. He's like, no, it's the greatest thing ever. But I don't know if he's going to jail or anything, but I don't know. I'm waiting for the day that these guys get tagged for, having that kind of a box. But there's ways around it. I know there's links and there's all that. I'm not casting any judgment. Again, if it wasn't for my wife, I'd probably be sitting here with my own black box, as it were. Mark says the CBS announcers will be very favorable to Big Ten. Unsurprising. Just watch the pundit change the network and the tune. Yeah, it's true. You think that some people, even if they are biased, can be honest about something. And sometimes there's a little bit of that. But sometimes, man, it is a sales pitch. And then they just can't, who can be honest about anything? I have some friends and they're scientists. And, they're talking about when they do experiments and tests and things, just the procedures and the things that they go through to try to take the bias out of whatever they're studying. And, he's like, "Well, you're in the media, you guys are trying to do that same thing." And I was thinking, not really. Nobody's really doing that. People that work for papers, they're all like, journalism, we can't cheer for any team, and they're really emphatic about that. And I've been in many press boxes with the writers, and they hold to that. Not every single one of them. There's a few of them that are little cheerleaders or deep down are, but I can remember being in the press box many times during some Tiger playoff games. How about Maglio Ordonez hitting the walk-off home run against the Oakland A's in Game 4 of the ALCS? The Tigers are going to the World Series. Maglio hits it. I'm in the press box, and you look around at all the writers, not a peep, just writing. Walk-off home run. Nobody was standing up going, there's, type it away. So you got to give it to those writers. They don't have much of a heart. Like just, like flatlined. No excitement there. We get some more complainers. Crazy to pay. Yeah. Let's see here. Got some, now I've got some text coming in. Let's see what they say. Let's see. This one coming in says, "My wife is right, especially pirate boxes, dangerous." Thank you. Good to see that. Let's see what this one says. "I just moved to YouTube TV and got $100 off NFL All Access games that expires on 6/6. Best deal ever. YouTube TV owns it now." Okay, there you go. Mark watches ball games with the sound off, better experience. Even the 12-year-old in the movie Big knew this. I sometimes do that, Mark. Watch the game with the sound off, but you have to really hate the announcers. I mean, like, it's got to be Matt Millen on there for me to turn the sound off. And even now, after all these years, where did I watch Matt? Oh, I watched him to the Penn State spring game. And there was a time when I'd be like, "Oh, I'm muting Matt Millen." I didn't. Mark says, bring up a copy of last year's Super Bowl and edit out all the commercials and talking. Best way to see the game is without talking. I don't know, Mark. I watched the Manning cast a little bit on Monday Night Football, and I was enjoying it. Peyton sees the game and the way he's able to talk about it, I found entertaining and informative. But Peyton doesn't have, if you like watching the game and kind of know, like, hey, I mean, yeah, you can figure out it's 3rd and 7 yourself, and the players, but a lot of times you don't know who that player is, and you don't know, so you need a little bit of that play by play, a different experience. Mark, just let's see. Antoine is talking about, if the Big Ten was smart, they would get a deal with YouTube and offer access to the game for $2, maybe even $5. They would make a killing, maybe even more than Peacock, because people are already on YouTube. Well, the idea of NBC is to draw people into Peacock, and then they're able to advertise and tell their advertisers that they be able to get money for regular NBC. They're able to cross promote. They're able to do all of these things, and the streaming is like, there's a lot of you like, look, we're here. Most of the people, you guys that are watching this, you guys understand going on the computer or clicking on. A lot of people, they're not into streaming. This might be the best point out there, and Antoine is making it. TV itself is an old way of watching it, sort of like the newspaper today. Yeah, well, Antoine, I think you've got some truth to that. We were sitting here probably more than 10 years ago, let's say 20. I would be sitting around talking about, man, I just love a newspaper. Love getting the newspaper every day. Go through the whole thing. Loved it. Loved the feel. Loved it. And then I remember the Detroit News was like, we're just going, what did they say? Monday, Thursday, and Sunday. And that was it. I don't know. I don't think I used to get a newspaper, the Sunday newspaper after work or at work. It used to be there, and so I would get one. I liked it because say, all right, they're telling you what's the front page news here. Here it is, the big features and everything. But you're right. I don't get any newspapers anymore. Good point. All right. Any of the last points? OT getting in here late. The Big Ten signed the biggest TV contract by sticking their fans with the bill. Yeah, well, let's all give a nice round of applause to Kevin Warren. Kevin Warren was here for a minute. He's making all these deals, and hey, I'm bringing in USC and UCLA, and everybody's patting him on the back. Great job, Big Kev. He's like, I'm out. Then everybody's like, wait a second, games are going to be streaming. Warren left you holding the bag. He left all of us holding the bag a little bit. But he gets off because it's like Jim Delaney. He wasn't a crook, but athletic directors, it's always weird when you work for colleges because you're thinking about academics but presidents and athletic directors and commissioners of conferences, they're just like business people. They just want money and the most that they can get. And I tell you, all of us sitting around, selling college football, we could make some deals. I mean, it's the easiest thing to sell. Everybody loves football. They're addicted. You can pretty much say anything. Bought, sell, bought. All right. That's just going to be about it. There you go. You can jailbreak Fire Sticks. No, it's on my downstairs TV. That's what I use, that Fire Stick. I don't know anything about jailbreaking it. Andre saying that NBC is pirating my money. Okay. Will Peacock stream and rebroadcast on YouTube nearly every other game? Wait, will those Peacock streams end up rebroadcast on YouTube nearly every other game? Well, when you say nearly every other game it used to be. Like, I remember when Michigan got Shea Patterson. So how many ever years ago that was? I don't know, 5-6 years ago. I didn't realize it, and I went on YouTube and I would put, Old Miss Alabama, and there's the game in its entirety, and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. And I'm like, I watched all of these games that Old Miss played with Shea Patterson as quarterback and got a really good feel about him. But since then, now there are some games that are on there, but not as many, and there's less and less and less games that are broadcast in their entirety on YouTube, at least for free. At least in my experience. At least what I've seen too. I don't know. I missed that, so I don't know who you're talking to. Mark, again, let's just turn off the TV. Let's just turn off the sound, not the TV. Injury status. Mark, get YouTube TV, and you can record every game and switch around. That's what's coming through here. Don't talk about jailbreak. I did it for years. Run. Notre Dame in the Big Ten by 2025. Fox, of course, is the Big Ten network. I'm getting some inside information here. Let's see. No Mullen, no Danielson. I'll play music during the game. Antoine is right, but the three networks outbid them. Fox, Amazon, and NBC. $8+ billion, going higher when Notre Dame, Oregon, and Washington join the Big Ten. Notre Dame. Oh. I'm going to take the approach of Notre Dame joining the Big Ten that Richard's taking when it comes to Michigan having a 50-50 split in running and throwing the ball. I'm going to have to see it to believe it. I'm going to have to wait to see Notre Dame. Now, I know that Washington is out there in Oregon. They seem to be, you're breaking the conferences up fine. And maybe maybe Notre Dame, the ACC will get split up. So if the ACC goes, maybe if it comes down to Notre Dame having to go to the SEC or the Big Ten, maybe they'll finally and reluctantly be like, okay, we're here. Be nice to see the Big Ten. Hell with you. But when's Michigan playing Notre Dame? 2033. I'm hoping to be at that. I'm hoping to be around, but I'm hoping to be at that game. It's like I'm hoping to be at the Texas game next year. Well, when you're used to being on 5 days and it's only 3, you feel like you could stay around for a couple hours just talking about Michigan football, and because we could. Andre's Dennis just doesn't know where to look for the games. They're there. Well, hey, you know what? I can always use a little bit of assistance when it comes down to some things with technology. And Andres, looks like you're a guy that I'm going to be able to lean on. So I will do that. I will lean on you. Thanks so much for watching this show. If you're somebody that listens on the podcast, give us a 5-star review. Leave a comment. I love when people use the thumbs up button on YouTube when you're watching. All of those things help. They're all great. We'll be back on Monday talking about all of the different commitments from the weekend. I'm expecting, some things to happen. And if it doesn't happen on Monday, I'm guessing that it's going to happen on Tuesday or Wednesday, however they want to get it out there so everybody can get their equal time and we can talk about them. So enjoy it. Stay cool. Everybody have a great weekend. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you over on the Maize and Blue Review on the posting board on the Den this weekend. Until Monday at 1 o'clock. So long, everybody.